you doing? My name is Patrick Delaney. I am currently homeless in Phoenix, Arizona, in Maricopa County. Well, before becoming homeless, I was an upper middle class white suburban male. Made over 6 figures, had my own business, and just want to talk to you guys a little bit about mistreatment by authorities and corporations here in Maricopa County, and specifically Phoenix and the metropolitan area. There seems to be a cleansing or a movement of people away from society and they want you out of sight, out of mind, and they're using all their powers, like having no trespassing violation.
How did we end up meeting right now?
Oh, I was standing out here besides Walgreens, and Rich here came walking by and asked me if I needed something to eat.
And what was I wearing?
You're wearing your Jesus God's Army uniform.
Okay. Now, what I'm doing with Patrick is we're organizing where his vision of homeless people in tents and my vision of God's army will come together. You see, they're being harassed, and he feels there's an ethnic cleansing going on because they're being chased from city to city. The police departments are chasing them off from Phoenix, they chase them to Tempe, they chase them to Chandler, they keep getting chased all over the place, but they're homeless, so where are they supposed to go? So what we're doing is we're incorporating God's army. I just gave them a uniform. Would you just show them the uniform I gave you? We're giving them the uniform because they need an identity, and the uniform is their identity. And if they identify and they belong to God's army, if they get harassed by the police and they get chased out and they're being picked on and there's an ethnic cleansing that's going on against God's army, the people that God has put in my heart, the same way Jesus went out into the battle, into the field, and he raised up a kingdom using those that were rejected by society, the homeless. Not those that lived in society, not those that lived under the law of Moses, but those that are lawless, those that are homeless, those that don't have a place to live.
Other challenges, like I said, hour to hour, where are you going to sit for the next hour before you get the next cop that's going to come by and tell you, you can't be here, you got to leave or I'm going to arrest you.
Robert Zimmerly. I've lived in this neighborhood for my whole life, 31st Street in Union Hills, since I was 9 years old. I've been homeless off and on for about 4 or 5 years, over the span of 10 years, and I don't think that I've never been treated, unfortunately, more poorly than I have this time around. I think that good treatment, when it's not illegal to be homeless, it's just illegal to exist anywhere, is really hard to come by nowadays. And I know that when Rich and I met, it was, 10 o'clock, I vividly remember, I believe, on a Tuesday morning, right? And we connected, and I know that when he was talking about God's Army, that it was a vision I had, and I had actually written a letter to a friend, I think maybe 3 or 4 months previous, that had said that I had felt like God had put me in charge of whatever, maybe like a colonel or a general would be over recruiting this army and trying to put an army together, and that I felt like I wasn't the only one, and that I was going to run into people that, we were going to click right away and immediately know what the plan was, because God had already filled us in. I've told my mom, and she's felt the same way, that we felt like soldiers marching in place waiting for our orders. And I think God's told us what our orders are. And so, I think that we're going to take action, and we're going to take action. God's going to make it a lot bigger than we think. I pray, and we want to focus on what's right, not what's illegal, and we have a voice that needs to be heard too. I think if we were tax-paying citizens at one time, just because of hard luck or circumstance or maybe a mistake, doesn't mean that we can't be again or even aren't still now. There's plenty that don't have a home or struggle to eat, and they work 40 plus hours a week, and they still find themselves on the street, whether it's child support or divorce or, it comes down to unfair treatment.
Now, who's unfairly treating you?
You know, I don't necessarily think it's, you know, like the one guy to the next that you run into on the sidewalk. It's more like everybody else can shop at the grocery store and be waiting outside for a cab or having a cigarette or something, and I'm the guy that can't because of the way I look, or because they see me all the time, or they assume that I didn't go shopping there, or...
Right, and now I want to take that one step further. It's the way you said, the way you look. Well, now that you have the uniform, God's Army shirt with Jesus on the front, you have the pants that I gave you, you are now wearing a uniform that represents God's Army. You're no longer homeless. I said that you're not accepting the identity of being homeless. You're now a child of God. You have to take on that identity that you're a child of God. Don't take on the identity of being homeless, because you have a home. We're all just visitors here on earth, and God has a home, and you're a child of God. So every time I refer to people that are homeless, that have been down on their luck, I'm referring to them as child of God, God's children. Why? Because you're the most humblest people that are out there. While everybody is proud and chasing their money and building homes and driving fancy cars and everything, you're the most humblest. That's why Jesus went out into the field and he went and built a kingdom of those that were rejected by society. And that's why God's Army, and God is raising up an army using the children of God, God's children. Amen?
Amen.
God bless.
Amen.